Hi, this is Kirk Davis with Camps. I'm very happy and pleased to be here with you today, Elizabeth. Elizabeth has been a member of Camps for quite a while, and she's now a member of the board. And I've been looking forward to sharing the things that she does with the members of Camps. So, Elizabeth, would you kind of give us a kind of a rundown on Resultist and then your career journey that brought you to this point?
Sure. So I have been a business consultant now for 14 years.
Okay.
And before that, I was a business owner,
Okay.
employer kind of business owner,
Ah,
and have always been in the B2B space. And when I got into consulting, I decided I wanted to focus on the parts of business that I enjoy the most. So I built Resultus Consulting to do just that.
hmm,
I We specialize in growing profitable revenue for
nice.
small and mid-sized companies that are in a B2B space.
Sure, it's a
So
hot
I
topic.
get
Yeah.
to, I get to focus on the parts of business that I enjoy most, which is revenue strategy, sales, marketing, and customer success.
Well, I just have to tell you that I was so pleased to meet you when I first came to camps. And with your background expertise, it's a topic that I'm also very interested in, very passionate about. And so it was so nice to talk to somebody who knew more than I did. And that to be very refreshing. And that was nice.
Well, thanks. So today, I provide uh, fractional chief revenue officer services. I work with companies who are experts in their field. They make a special thing or they provide an exceptional service, and they tend to be very focused on that. And
Yeah.
what they really need is someone to come alongside them and help them develop the right revenue strategy, um, a new revenue initiative, or how do remote sales work.
I was going to say, this is a little bigger than just your typical marketing or sales, isn't it? It's
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
you're thinking back into
Um,
your numbers and how it fits in with the whole picture of their business.
yes, it
More on,
covers really the front half. So it really is Chief Revenue Officer Services. And we work across all of your market facing or client facing
mm,
teams to make sure that the company mission is actually aligned with those market facing teams,
mm.
and that sales is aligned with marketing and customer success is aligned with sales, and so that everything works together instead of being siloed or fighting between each
Or
other.
one off and yeah. So
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
I know in the development of business that sometimes is a very long-term process for companies to kind of get where you can take them, in a few short months or a few short
In a
years
very short period of time. Yeah,
time. You
yeah,
accelerate that process for something, which
yeah.
is nice. Yeah, that's so cool. Now, we wanted to talk about a special topic today that you've actually given a presentation or several presentations on before on the topic of thought leadership. So tell me, why did how did you come up with this topic and why do you think that's important?
Thought leadership is an essential ingredient when it comes to both internal and external audiences within a company.
Mm,
For a leader, an owner, a CEO, a president, whoever is that
business leader.
person, the business leader, they have this ongoing challenge internally of gaining cooperation, getting buy-in, keeping everybody together and moving forward. And externally, they want to make sure that their company is sought out,
Mhm.
that their company, their products, their services are known and well regarded, and that people can find them and come to them instead of a sales team having to knock down doors to make sales. So
So
thought
it,
leadership,
it can attract business.
exactly.
You
So
know,
you,
I was just thinking, Elizabeth, I have to interrupt you just to say that the opposite of a thought leader is what? A thought follower.
yes,
That would not be a good position for any of us. I mean, we don't want to be sound like the next guy.
right, right.
So I think you're right. I think thought leadership internally and externally just makes a ton of sense. But you're saying that demonstrating your thought leadership actually brings business.
Yes, absolutely. Um, Not only do you attract and retain the right employees, but you also attract and retain clients,
Mhm.
customers,
The right customers.
and the right customers. Yes. So thought leadership is an essential for business leaders. So I put together a presentation
Yeah,
that
let's go to the
really speaks to that. Um, so let me preface that before we dive in by saying that we've really gone through a big change this year. And
yeah.
uh, remote work, working from home, managing those who must come into work, whether they are essential workers or just by the nature of their jobs, they can't work remotely. But the same challenges still exist. In fact, they're magnified because of everything that's going on. So, this lack of in person activities means that this becomes even more essential. And because we don't have in person activities, it doesn't mean that your revenues should suffer. So
Good to hear.
it's important to be known as a thought leader, and it's even more important to be known as a thought leader now.
I agree.
So let me share my screen,
That's great.
and we'll dive into the presentation. Bear with me just one moment. Thought leadership has some measurable data
Mhm.
around its value in terms of buying decisions. 55% of buying decision makers use thought leadership as an important way to vet the organizations that they're going to buy from. 61% of buying C suite executives are willing to pay more to work with an organization that has articulated their vision versus one who doesn't. And for existing customers, 55% of buying decision makers actually increase the amount of business that they do with companies based on the thought leadership that they put out. And 60% of them have added to their spend by adding on a new product or service.
This makes a lot of sense to me, just because I think the thought leadership instills confidence in a way.
Yes, it builds trust,
Yeah.
inspires confidence. It's one of the things that really demonstrates that thought leadership will attract customers to you.
Yeah. It makes a ton of sense.
And for manufacturers specifically, there is a real opportunity gap, if you will.
Here we go.
This chart can be a little busy, but I want to show you that the blue line at the top is the perception percentage of decision-making buyers. The pink line is a supply chain perception, and the kind of teal green line at the bottom is a manufacturer's percentage perception. So what this slide is showing, and this is based on the Edelman study that I referenced in the prior slide, 89% of decision maker buyers value awareness of a company made um, that they gain by thought leadership as improving their awareness of a company. So as you move forward through the buying cycle, awareness, consideration, actually buying something, pricing, and cross-selling, you'll see that decision-making buyers value thought leadership across that sales spectrum more than supply chain or manufacturers have the perception of the value of thought leadership. So they're more aware, they will invite you to more RFP opportunities. They will buy more from you. They're willing to pay a premium price, and they will buy additional products and services over what they initially started out to buy.
This
Simply
gives a, this makes a
because,
really strong case actually for,
yeah,
matching, maybe you could call it matching the buyer's expectation, right?
yes, yeah,
So they're willing to spend more, buy more. They're willing to participate, like you said, invite you to RFP opportunities based on your thought leadership.
right, absolutely. So people, this is kind of the summary here. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. Being a thought leader will build trust in you, your company, your products, and your services, and it will increase awareness of all those things. It's a key to being sought after. And a really nice side benefit, or maybe it's the other way around, is that you will build engagement with your current employees. And these days, when you have employees who need to come into your plant, they have to come into the plant. You want them to be as on board as you can possibly make them with your safety protocols, with wanting to show up. So, having this kind of relationship internally and externally is a real essential to ongoing success these days.
Elizabeth, this reminds me of a quote by Warren Buffett when he said that if you don't have good communication skills, it's like trying to wink to a girl at the dance in the dark. They just don't see it.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. And
Yes, it is.
so, without this thought leadership, we don't build the relationships. This is, thought leadership is really a driver of the relationship I can see from your points here.
Mm-hmm. It is. As a leader, you can't build a relationship with the entire planet.
Right.
What you can do is make your voice heard so that people feel like they have a relationship with you or actually reach out to develop a relationship with you. So that's what the thought leadership will do for you. So, what is it? What is thought leadership? It's a question I get a lot. In concept, it is about knowing and having an expertise and a passion, knowledge about something, and an opinion about it. And here's the key: you have to be willing to share it. Sharing it is what really turns it into thought leadership. Because if you don't share it, you're just having great thoughts, not being a thought leader.
Elizabeth, doesn't that make you vulnerable, though? I mean, to criticism. Essentially, it's one of I think, the scariest thing about thought leadership. And I think about public speaking and how that's one of the most frightening, experiences people have. But sometimes putting your thought process, putting your thinking out there to share it, just seems like a real opportunity for trouble in a good way.
It can feel that way,
Yeah.
very much so. However, there is something I learned really early on in business. You can't be all things to all people. And if people don't like what you have to say, fabulous. They're not a good prospect for
Not your
you in the
people.
first place, then.
Right.
So, what you want to do is determine your message and your opinion. And it can't be something light and fluffy. It has to be something that you are willing to defend. I will grant you that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But by putting it out there, you're going to attract the people that you want to attract. So you just have to, in some cases, say, well, I guess they weren't a good fit and move on.
I've also heard it said that never accept criticism from somebody you would never take advice from. So,
Well,
and that,
that's really true as well.
yeah, so you can discount a lot of that criticism as well.
Consider the source, I
Consider
guess.
the source, yeah.
So in practice, it is a video, making a video, doing an interview like this one that we're doing today,
Yeah.
writing an article or making a presentation. but you're using the technology that you already have. And that's something we'll talk about here in a minute. But this is what it really is, according to the survey or the study, the research study that was done. It's not about selling something.
Mm.
This is a free deliverable in a video, a white paper, an article, whatever you happen to choose, but it is a free deliverable that focuses on your area of expertise, what you're passionate about. When it's something that's sharing that, and this is where you have to make that leap of faith, is something that other people can benefit from. One of the biggest ways to get one of these pieces, especially if you're doing a lot of work via email these days, you're writing thought leadership content pieces already in your emails. Or if you're jumping on Zoom or you're using Teams, whatever your platform happens to be, and you're talking with your folks internally or you're talking with prospective customers externally, you're creating thought leadership content right there. You need to save it, record it with permission, of course, but those are the pieces that are really thought leadership. You're
Oh,
already doing
yeah,
it.
you're already doing it
You just
like
may
that.
not realize it.
Yeah, I think the thing
So,
that's really cool about this is that this is probably information you're not trying to sell. This isn't a
right, this is not about selling anybody anything. And that is actually the very next piece. Um, it doesn't focus on describing your products and services. That's something they can get off of your website. That's not what thought leadership is about. Thought leadership is about generously sharing your expertise and demonstrating your character. So it includes research reports, videos, thought pieces, articles, essays, webinars, presentations, all of those things.
if you're bringing up a thought process for me, Elizabeth, and that is that most companies are selling a solution, providing a solution, if you will, to a problem that improves a person's future. So we,
Yes.
we buy things that make our world better. And a lot of times, this thought leadership, the way you're describing it, I've heard it called also, and this is probably a little too formal, but I've heard it called a manifesto. And that is,
Yes.
how to change the status quo from what you're doing to my new, better way of doing things. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm basing this based on my expertise and, our years of research, our years of working with clients or whatever that is. But there's a reason why you should do it our way versus the way you're doing it.
Yes, definitely. And to your point about how people may be concerned about putting themselves out there, that they will inspire criticism. So I'm going to share what makes it excellent or
Mm,
very good so that people do respond in a positive way. And we just covered this one. It needs to be on a topic that's both timely and relevant to your audience.
mhm.
It talks about the benefits of taking action
Yeah.
and the impacts of not taking action. If you don't do this, this is the end result, that kind of thing. It provides insights into your topic. And in the case of a white paper, it may be in depth. It doesn't have to be. It can be a very brief highlight article or introductory video. Those are really popular these days, intro videos. I do have a client who puts out a lot of content on their blog, and it is all sometimes really technical stuff, and yet it's really important for their clients, who is primarily who they're writing their blog for, to read all of this stuff. It helps them in their work. So they do intro videos, and they will sum up in just a minute or less. Hey, this is me. How's it going? Glad you're taking the time to read this. I wanted to tell you why this is important. That type of introductory video, and that's been very useful. Because when you get into the more technical stuff, you want to be sure that you cite relevant data and statistics, that you offer proof and substantiation of your position. And the most important thing that makes it excellent or very good is that it's authentic. It's in your voice. It's not something that sounds like somebody else wrote it for you. And it provides valuable information that helps the reader or the listener or the viewer take action for themselves. Now, I put the asterisk in there because, and this gets back to your point, Kirk, valuable is in the eye of the beholder, and we can't be all things to all people. So you have to realize and accept that some people aren't going to find it valuable, and that's okay.
Well, Elizabeth, you're bringing up for me one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite thought leaders. On the topic of marketing and sales and branding, had said that the only way I know how to get people to do things is to give them reasons to do it. And to me,
Excellent point.
going through this, I think, holy cow, this is what you're really doing with with data and statistics and research and going in depth and things like that. You're really giving people reasons to take action.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Yeah. So conversely, you want to make sure it's not poor. Nobody wants to try and do something and put something out there when it's just not good enough. So here are the things to avoid. Don't make it a fluff piece. Give it some depth. Cite some data. Don't just do the high level overview. Please do not try and sell something. That is one of the key attributes that will really turn people off quickly.
So you have to think of this as education versus buy my
Yes,
stuff, right?
exactly. And we're not just trying to repeat the features and benefits of our product or service. We want to talk about the impact of something that's related to your product or service,
Mm-hmm.
but not specifically selling the features and benefits of your product or services. Please don't brag. Look at us, look at us, look at us. That's what a press release is for. People will not think of this as thought leadership if you're bragging about, look at how great we are. If you're putting out an article, make it easy to read. It's very easy to find great editors out online these days. They're not expensive. If you don't have anybody internally on your team who you would ask to read and edit what you're putting on your blog or somebody else's blog, spend a few bucks, get somebody else to edit the piece. It will make all of the difference in the world to make sure you have the words were all spelled right, but it was the wrong word, or the grammar or the punctuation or something is wrong. Get it edited. Just spoke to that point. So how do you become a thought leader? That's always the question. Well, and so my favorite answer is, well, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
That's right. That's how we're going to do it.
Exactly. Um, so here's the key. To become a thought leader, someone has to be aware and know your thoughts. Otherwise, you're just thinking great thoughts. To be a thought leader, you have to share it. You have to put it out there. So writing, speaking, videoing, I made up a word there, and presenting are the action forms of thinking. And you need to take action with your thoughts. So you want to do this. There are 5 steps. You identify your passion within your area of expertise. You want to be able to talk about the things, this just isn't right, or this is the way it should be done. That demonstrates your passion. Then you want to decide who you're trying to reach. Who is your audience? Is it an internal audience or an external audience? And figure out where you're going to find them. For instance, if you want to reach potential clients and you know they're active on LinkedIn, you're going to say, this is my target audience, and I'm going to try and reach them through LinkedIn. So I want to put an article out on LinkedIn Pulse. Conversely, if you have an internal audience, um, maybe you want to have an all hands Zoom meeting, or you send out an email to everybody. Just depends on who your audience is, where they live, so you figure out how to reach them. Then you want to share your expertise and your knowledge by adding value. Don't sell something. Demonstrate your character. Use your existing tools and technology. You already have, and by the way, this was really mind-boggling. We have moved from the old normal, where we were at the end of 2019, to a new normal of remote and using technology. We've done in the space of 6 to 8
Yeah.
months what it would normally take 10 years
Yes.
to accomplish.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. But we all have, sorry, see if you can see my phone, we all have the technology now at our fingertips. We have cell phones, we have LinkedIn, we have Zoom, we have Teams. We're using it these days. So the other step is to recognize that you are already generating content. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're already making presentations. You're writing articles. Sorry, may not be an article. You're sending emails though.
Mhm.
And those emails can easily be turned into thought leadership pieces.
Mhm.
So the biggest thing is make an impact. And what I mean by that is take action.
Yeah.
Post your thought leadership on your company blog. Volunteer to provide thought leadership pieces for an association you belong to.
Yes.
That would be camps, perhaps,
Sure.
uh,
As an example,
or other professional organizations you belong to, or industry associations
there's
you
a
belong
lot.
to.
There's a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely. And at the same time, there are a lot of other companies out there who would love to be able to have thought leadership pieces that they can post on
Mhm.
their blogs.
Right.
But
That's right.
you can be a guest author as well. But you have to make an impact. So if you need helps getting started, there are 3 things that you can do today. Create a thought leadership folder in your email
I
inbox.
really like that. That's smart.
It's easy. You can just take things that come in and pop them in over there. Things that inspire you, make you think about your passion.
Hmm.
Identify something that you've written. It's an email, a proposal, a PowerPoint, something that you can repurpose into thought leadership. Put it into that folder. And then, even if you only have 20 minutes, hopefully 30,
Hmm.
every week, find the time to develop your thought leadership content.
Mm.
I know everybody's really busy these days, but it's essential to take this time, because being recognized as a thought leader will grow your business and help you attract and retain employees.
Yeah. The benefits, I think, are very worth the investment that they make there. Absolutely.
So until you actually share it, remember, you're only having great thoughts, but you have to get started,
Yeah.
and you have to keep sharing it. Take action. It can be just audio, it could be a podcast. You could write an article. Be sure and quantify things. Use research and data. Make a little video on Zoom. We have a great piece
Yeah.
of technology. We're using it
We're
today, in
using it
fact.
today. So Elizabeth, can I ask you on this slide here?
Yeah.
You do a lot of thought leadership and you do a lot of writing and editing, and I know you do a lot of different things, but what specific tools are you using? You mentioned putting a folder on your email, but I don't know, is there
Yeah.
any other tools you're using. You mentioned recording. Is there any, do you have a favorite recorder?
So when we when all of this happened, my my business really shifted to being online.
Yeah.
And I started relying more and more on email
Hmm.
and more on Zoom.
Yeah.
So I like what we're doing today. I use Zoom to make recordings,
Yeah.
and I use my email inbox as a spot to stash stuff that I want to come back to.
Yeah.
That sparked a thought for me
I really like that.
that I can say, oh, that really fits with this idea I had, and incorporate those things into the thought leadership pieces that I'm creating.
So Elizabeth, there's a tool that I'm using, and maybe you have a similar tool, but one of the tools I really enjoy is Google Keep. It's free. It's on every device. It's in the
Yep.
cloud. But they have a feature where I can type by talking. So
Yes.
if I'm typing for me, 40, 50 words a minute, but I can speak at 200, 300 words a minute. And
Yes.
it keeps up. It does a great job. It used to be a couple of years ago, it's pretty clunky. Today,
Hmm.
it's seamless.
That's excellent.
So, when I think in terms of tools, I think talking to type into Google Keep has been very useful. And then, of course, every smartphone has a recording app, and I sometimes just record tons and tons of thoughts, and go back and dictate those into Google Keep again. So that's just a
Yeah.
one.
I use the voice recorder on my
Yeah.
phone, certainly. And because I'm on Zoom so much, I use a um, translation, no, I'm sorry, transcription
Oh,
tool
transcription.
online.
Oh,
It's
nice.
called rev.com.
Yeah.
They are, you have to pay for it, yes,
Yeah.
but it's inexpensive and it's accurate. And
Yes.
best part, it's fast.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
I'm
They've
taking note of that.
also, Rev has also joined forces with Zoom to do real-time transcription so
Oh,
that you
geez.
get the,
That's awesome.
on the bottom of your video, they'll have the closed captioning right
Gee.
there. So
Oh, wow.
another thing you can do.
That's amazing. Good. Good. I appreciate going over tools. Yeah.
You bet. So when it comes to thought leadership, it really is essential to do it. And you need to take the time
Yeah.
to do it. It really is valuable. And these days, it's even more valuable.
Well, I do believe, from my experience working with so many companies and seeing those who do it and those who don't, those who do it have a distinct advantage in all the ways that you mentioned earlier. Yeah. No, this
Yeah,
is very valuable. Without mentioning some of your clients' names, I don't know. I have seen, because I know who some of your clients are, so I've seen their amazing thought leadership. But can you share with us some examples of work with some of your clients and in this realm of thought leadership?
sure. So my clients range everything from manufacturers to distributors. I actually did some work at a couple of years ago with a newspaper, which was very interesting,
Yeah.
um, to professional services firms.
Oh, yeah.
And each one of my clients goes through and creates their own thought leadership. So, from a manufacturer's perspective, I've had a client where we branched out into a nationwide sales platform. And all of a sudden, they had an entire sales force nationwide that they did not have virtually overnight. So they had a whole new
Wow.
internal customer that they were bringing on board. So we created a whole bunch of thought leadership pieces, whether it was an article, we did some videos,
Mm,
um, scripted, lightly
yeah.
scripted presentations, so that they had a chance to get to know the manufacturer, the product, the character the culture, all of those important pieces, so that this new internal audience all of a sudden was on board.
Yeah.
And they were out promoting, and it made for a very successful launch nationwide.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Very
great.
cool. No, it's very, very cool. I just have really enjoyed all of the information that you shared, and I'd like to really encourage our camps members to get to know you. I don't think you're very scary. I think you're
I try not to be.
very nice. You're very nice to call and talk to. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you and talk to you about maybe establishing some formal thought leadership for their company, and I know there's many other services that Resultus does for companies,
Yes.
what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way is, well, you could call me. The
I like that.
easiest, though, is email.
Okay.
And that's Elizabeth at resultist.com.
You see how Resultus is spelled right there
Yes,
behind
it is. It's the
you.
word result with an IST on the end.
Resultus.
The other thing, if people would rather, they can go to the website, which is resultist.com, and fill out a form.
Sure. Yeah.
There's also, if you subscribe to the blog, you'll start getting my monthly, sometimes bi-monthly
Yeah.
emails.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. You can
I
tune
have a
in.
lot of I have a lot of people who they say to me on a very frequent basis, I don't read those things that I get from most people, but I look forward to yours
Yeah.
every month.
Very,
So
very thoughtful. I enjoy them as
yeah.
well. And I'm just going to put a personal plug in for you for a moment. I'm going
Oh,
to say some things
okay.
that are, maybe seem sugary, but the truth is, when I came on board with camps, you were there's many really great volunteers with camps, but you took the cake in terms of volunteering, and people would never know this, but you chair our events committee, and you do such a marvelous job in terms of leadership. So I've actually seen your leadership in action, but it's the little things. I mean, you will take our Stacy and I. We call you, day or night. We email you. We ask you to edit. You're a person that I call, when I need advice. And so, in terms of being a win-win person, and in terms of being a real go-giver, you can't do better than Elizabeth. And I'm just speaking. It's hard to understand the measure of a person just from a video like this. But I'll just tell you that I don't find as many. There's not very many people in my world that are as win-win and as go-giver as you. So I highly recommend Elizabeth to you as somebody you're just going to love to associate with professionally, but somebody who can really make an impact in your business. So that was my chance to say something nice.
Well, thank you, Kirk. That was very nice. I appreciate that.
So we see it
I'm
all the time at camps.
I'm happy to help.
You are great. You're see Elizabeth at all the events, and she's there and she's supportive and making a difference all the time. So I just want to say thank you, and thanks for doing this recording.
Thanks very much, Kirk. I really enjoyed it.
All right, thank you.